All right, so we are almost done with our little simple platformer. And I don't know how long you're waiting in between these videos, but remember where we left off is we just have our little red square that we're driving around, and as soon as it cruises into the blue thing, it'll reset the level. So one thing that I want to add is a camera follow. Like typically in platformers, the camera will be centered around the character, and as the character moves, the camera is going to go. And notice our camera doesn't move, so we can run right off screen, and we have no idea what we're doing over there. But if we had the camera always be centered on the player, then we wouldn't have to worry about that sort of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to create a new script, C# script. We'll call it CameraFollow. And I am going to attach that thing to our camera. So I clicked on our main camera over here on the left, and I will drag our CameraFollow script over to it. And now I can open it up inside of MonoDevelop, and we can start doing some things. And basically what we need to do is we just need to align the camera with the player. And I'm going to add a little bit more fancy things here so that it'll sort of smoothly go through and do all that sort of stuff. So what I want to do right now, one thing that we're definitely going to need to know is we're going to need to know public transform target. We need to know who we're following. That's really important. And so if we go back to Unity and click on our main camera, now under our camera follow script we have a target, and we need to follow our red player. Now notice we have our red sprite down here, and we also have our red player that has all this sort of stuff on it. We want to follow the actual object in our scene, not the sprite. This is just a shape. This is the thing that the character is controlling. So when we look at our main camera and we want to know who the target is, we just drag it into to this area here, who we want the camera to follow. Make sure you're dragging in from your project hierarchy over here. Okay, so again, we're using the object that's in our scene, not any of our assets. These are things you build with. These are things that are actually there. So now in our script, we know anywhere we refer to target, that's going to refer to the red thing over here, because that's what we associated it with. I'm going to give a couple variables here. This really is going to be like 4 lines of code, so it's not going to be very long, but I'll try to explain what's going on each step of the way. So we also need to have public float, we'll call it damp time, and we'll set that. We'll start with that. And what's going to happen here is there's going to be a little bit of lag from the time the player starts moving to the camera starts to follow. It's going to give it a pretty cool effect. It's instead of just sort of jumping around, it's going to sort of smooth into it. So this damp time is going to give us a nice little smoothness to our camera. And then we need to know how fast we're going. So we'll say private vector3 velocity equals vector3.0. So we're initializing the velocity of our camera to 0. And we're doing it in vector 3 because our camera can move in 3 dimensions. It can move the x, y, and z axis. And so even though we're only doing 2D, we can still move the camera around in all directions. And so we're going to be using vector 3s in this camera follow script, but we're going to try to keep the z, which is the depth of the camera, constant. So there'll be a little bit of strangeness where we're trying to get the current value of the z-axis so that we don't screw it up as we start to change things. So, anyways, we don't need to do anything in start. I'm just going to delete it because everything we're going to do inside is going to be inside of update. So inside of update, pretty much what we have to do is figure out where the player is based on, we have a reference to the player from this target. We need to know where the camera is currently, and then we need to know where to move it to. And that's all that's going to happen. So let's do a couple things here. There's one of the confusing parts about this, and it's going to look like a lot of code and a lot of strangeness happening, but the issue is that there's a whole bunch of different sets of coordinates that are taking place. We have our world coordinates, which is this entire world of stuff. Everything around here is going to have coordinates. But then we also have coordinates within our main camera. Let's see. It's going to show me its viewport. There we go. So, so now this rectangle is our active viewing area, and inside of this has its own set of coordinate systems that go from 0 to 1.